I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, child care services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Well, great day, you guys. It's Asadah here on another Tuesday with Gathering of the Griots. Want to say thank you for tuning in with us. Today's a great show. Why? Because people might come on here. They don't even have a book yet. Because I want to know, what is that inside of you? There's a book inside of you. So we're going to get into that, even in myself. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. But first, let us begin with my girl, Naima Latif, and the Female Solution. Make it happen. Here we go. See you in a minute.
Radio. Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution. Join me, Naima Latif, every morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, as we bring you stimulating discussions about the issues affecting our lives. If you're listening online at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution, press the blue button that says follow and get our daily topics every morning directly to your email and your smartphone. Hi, I'm Naima Latif, executive producer of the Female Solution radio show. We invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and participate in this daily think tank as we examine the challenges we face and develop solutions that restore peace and harmony. We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the on-air radio network called 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you.
All right now. So yes, we want to talk to you. I want to hear your stories, but I'm going to start just kind of talking about my own universe, because it takes a lot of courage to write a book, right? There are different things that stop you. Look at all these books in back of me, right? Children's books, all of those books. Somebody had to make a decision to be courageous enough to actually write down what their ideas were. And so we have books in us, but why are we not getting them out? I'm going to put the number down here, because if you want to call in and tell us what is your story, what story have, people have been telling you, get your story out. You should write a book. But if you haven't done it yet, there's a reason for that. And I think that the reason a lot of times could be fear, right? You think, or sometimes you might think, sorry about that, you might think that you have to do a certain thing or have a certain amount of money. Not important. You really just got to get the idea down. And so I'm going to just give you a little bit of what I advise that you do if you have a book, because inside about it, because it's not as hard as you think. And it could be done in a very short amount of time. You don't need to take 5 or 10 years to get a book out. My first book, Beating Black Kids, which I'll share in a minute, book that came of an experience, right? And so I felt like an issue needed to be handled. And so what I did was I got a notebook that was similar in size to what I wanted for the book. And I just started writing. I didn't write like in my mind, like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do that. Matter of fact, let me just show you. I'm going to just show you the book first, and then we're going to come back. Let's just look at it for a minute.
And I turned out fine. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Kids today need to be beat. What else am I supposed to do? He's so bad. Ooh, she gets on my last nerve. Better hush up before I give you something to cry about.
It was important that I write the book, Beating Black Kids.
I'm old-fashioned. And I believe, you just can't let a child do anything.
I think it's okay, long as you don't abuse them.
It's needed to a certain point.
But what I saw was a collection of adults who were talking about a topic they had never really talked about before. Out came, my mama used to hit me with a spatula. My dad used to hit me with a belt. They used to make me get wet first. They used to put my face in a pillow and then spank me. Like all of these different stories about how we have gotten beaten over time. And while there was a lot of laughter when those stories were being told, I could clearly see that there's a fine line between laughing and crying. And I knew that it was time for me to write a book about handling the situation. And so it's very obvious that this came from being a slave, from a slavery experience, and that whole spare the rod, spoil the child. The shepherd did not beat the sheep with the rod. He guided them with the rod. And so it is just obvious that that came from a slavery experience. And we have to know how to differentiate those things and then just use some discernment in terms of doing what's best for our children and not breaking their spirits. With regards to how we discipline our children, first of all, I always tell people that discipline, if you look at the etymology of the word, it comes from disciplina, which is the Latin root meaning teach. And so when you discipline a child, you are teaching them. But when you use corporal punishment and you hit our children, you're not teaching them anything. They're actually not going to do it again out of fear. They're not doing it out of reason. The frustration that we feel from being powerless in a society and all of the things that come along with that, those issues are not to be taken out on our children when we get home. The definition of domestic violence says bringing harm to someone in your home or hurting someone in your home. So I want us to look at how we beat our offspring and how that's not giving them anything good. It's making them, quote unquote, obedient, but that's what you make a dog. That's what you make an animal. But when you're dealing with someone of higher intelligence, use their intelligence and start to talk to them in ways that give them power, make them feel supported, listen to their ideas, and it'll just be an easier parenting road for you. There's a part of the brain called the part of the brain, and that part of the brain that helps you make decisions in times of adversity. Well, if they have that toxic stress before they're even 4, that part of the brain does not develop. And so you're looking at a community full of people with no regulatory equipment. So we need to be bringing a different generation of people up with a different consciousness. Make sure that the kids feel good and alive while they're living. Don't be upset after they die And after there's all these senseless killings, let's treat them well while they're living, and then we'll see a different impact. The adults want to be upset, but you taught the children the violence when they were young, and it's the tools they have. I feel like, hitting children is such a skillless. We need to foster behavior that builds them up, and that just changes the way, like, we talk to each other. Talk to your discipline, because discipline, we're using it a lot to describe hitting children. And this is not directly to you, LaShawn, but it's to just all of us, because I've heard it and it's personally. And discipline. A book is sold in Switzerland, Germany, Tasmania, Nigeria, Sudan, Canada, all over the world. And so people all over the world are telling me, as far as Germany, that my book is making a difference in the lives of the people that other people touch, but also in the lives of many parents and families who now no longer beat their children because they read my book. A lot of people ask me if I'm going to write another book, and I'm not ready to write another book. But what I will say is that there is a high demand for the book in Spanish and in French. My book is not punitive. My book is not accusatory, but there are solutions replete throughout the whole book. It really is just about being engaged with your child. They're not going to become respectful and trustworthy through you telling them and demanding it. They're going to become that way from observing you and then emulating what they see. And so in my parental code of ethics that I wrote, one of my favorite lines is, I will only seek excellence in my child if I am excellent myself. And so that's what I say is the number one key to making sure you have great children is checking yourself.
Okay, so I wrote the book, and it came out of an experience that I talk about in other episodes. I've talked about it. But let's talk about the mechanics of it. I literally bought a notebook and I started to write in topics. I just said, not in chapters, but topics. I knew I wanted to talk about certain things. And so I would write about that topic. And then once I went to go type it out, that's when I started putting it in an order so that you could, it could come into a book that made sense. Deal with this first, deal with this second, deal with this third, and got it out. And I'm going to tell you guys, I wrote the book. Look, it was the Harlem Book Fair coming out in July. I think it was like July 16th or something. And I had 5 months pretty much before that time. But I wrote the book, got it edited and everything. And the book actually got to my doorstep the day before the event. And so it took 5 months. It didn't have to take 5 years. And so you all could do the same thing. You just look at what you want to say, then start writing about it, and then put it together. And if you need help, you could definitely call me, Asadah, reach out to me on Facebook or whatever. But I do have other books up my sleeve, right? And one of them I'm not going to go into in depth, but when I deal with this book, Beating Black Kids, what comes up a lot is molestation. And that's a big topic. That's a taboo topic. So doing the book, I haven't really done that yet, but I'll get to it. Now, another book that's up my sleeve is one called Nanny Love, Don't Come Home, because I'm from New York. And so you see nannies all the time taking care of Black women, taking care of white children. And when I see that, it's whatever it is. But the problem becomes when they go home to their own children and the same amount of love and attention is not being given to their children. And so I've talked to brothers and sisters who have mothers or grandmothers that are nannies, but when they get home, it's all about whoop that butt, be strong and hard, and not the soft, gentle treatment that they're giving to the children that they watch every day. And so Nanny Love Don't Come Home is my personal up my sleeve book that I haven't done yet. So that's another one. And then another book that I have up my sleeve. I don't know. I might not want to touch this one because of the people involved, but I have this. It's called Episodes, Memoirs of One Woman's Quest for Pleasure. That might be me. So, it's just looking at the relationships that I've had throughout my life And, people say, you're not married. It's like, nah, I haven't met anybody who wants to play the game I play or has one comparable. And so that's what it is. But there also just been episodes in my life that got me to this point. And I think they're entertaining. And I think we need to see that at some point. But I have to figure that one out. And I'm most focused, I think, on getting out the book, Nanny Love Don't Come Home. I've been talking about that for a long time. And so, I got some stuff up my sleeve to some different books, but Beating Black Kids is the book that came out, and I birthed that book. And I also birthed a book called Bitcoin for Black People, because I teach Black folks how to grow cryptocurrency. You ain't got to be Black, but, I take care of my people, bottom line. So anyway, today we're actually going to get into others who have books up their sleeve, or people that overcame, this challenge of getting a book out. I'm actually going to bring on Sister Naima Latif at a point so that she can talk about her experience, because she runs the Female Solution, but she also has a book of her own. And she might have another one up her sleeve. She needs to do a book on the Female Solution. But we have great guests today, because not only are they talking about those things, we have a guest coming on today. She don't even have a book, but she has a book idea, and it's so good. It is such a good story. So it needs to be told. People need to see what she did with that experience and how she changed it into something that people could grow from. So if you have a book that you have in your life that you never did, I want you to give a call, 727-731-5192, because I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's going on. Like, why isn't it out yet? I know some people, I got one of our authors in the book fair, Takwana Maru from Japan. He has a book that's coming out that's dealing with martial arts through Black people, but looking at not only Japan, but Chicago. And so that's going to be interesting to see. I know that he's had an opportunity to speak to the Grand Master of the Nation of Islam of martial arts. I went to their conference this weekend. It was so good, but I'm so glad that he got a chance to connect with them. Big ups to his sister Aziza, who made that happen. And there are just so many other people that I know that have books like I put up today. Well, I put up last night. How many of you have a book in you that hasn't come out yet? And I saw Bonnie Taylor Williams. I saw a lot of people. Let me see. Hold on. Let me see if I see their names. Hold on. I'm going to call them out, baby. Because if you are watching this, you need to come on and let the people know that you have a book coming out. But I think it's important that we encourage each other and get us working, right? So let me see what we got down here. Oh, buddy. I put this up last night and the responses, almost 20 responses. So my friend Khadijah said she absolutely has a book in her to come out. Let me see who else we got down here. Nikki Webb. She said, yep, she has a book in her system. Let me see who else. Bridget McGill. That's another one of our great authors. She has a book. What did she say? She said, it says, Write the Book Within. That's her book. And she said the workshops are coming soon, and she's doing the final edits on that one. So that's dope. Who else? Shanna Red. She's a longtime veteran of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, but she generally did books for adults, but she said she has a children's book in it. So we'll see what that looks like. And then Venice Nisi Haynes said that she has a book. She just finished doing a book, and she has to get all the illustrations together for this one. So we love that. My girl, Carolyn Coleman, another one of our authors from the metaverse. And she has a book. She said, yep, she has a book in her. She always got a book in her. She be coming out with them bad boys too. And then she actually said it's a book of short stories, attempting to complete a 30-chapter book. Whoa. And one about a runaway girlfriend. Ooh, whoa, Lord. And one regarding wisdom tips. So look at all of those. See, she's made a book before. So once you make the first one, you don't really have the same fear that you might have had when you didn't have any books. So I love that she's going to come out with those. Then we got Susan Carlotta Ellis says, yes, she has a book in her. My girl, like I said, Bonnie Taylor Williams. she already has a book in our world, dealing with beauty and her mom, and dealing with it's called With These Hands, but she has more in her, so that's good. So yeah, we got people that have books in them, and if you have a book idea, definitely want to hear from you. I'm giving you an opportunity to sort of put it on stage, and this gives you an opportunity to have people hold you accountable. They'll say stuff, they're gonna be saying like, I saw you on the side of the show and you talked about that book. Where's that book? So I know a brother who told me maybe about how many years ago, maybe about 15 years ago, he told me he had a book, and that book, he had not brought it out for 10 years at that time. So that means we had like 25 years. Bring out that book. Like, we need it. And I know the title is a very strong book and it's going to have a great following, but just got to do it. You just got to have the courage. And so if you need the courage and you want to connect with me and be a part of the development of your book, I say get a membership. We got a membership. We got a whole membership program. Matter of fact, let me show it real quick. And becoming a member, then I can take care of you in a different way. I can give you more undivided attention. But just check this out. Let me see if I have it up. Oh yeah, there it is. So Soulful Chicago Book Fair membership. Being a part of our membership does things like put you in a situation where you can make money with your book at our book fairs, media, interviews, commercials, this show, Gathering of the Griots, really giving you full time on a show like this. And we shoot commercials. My partner, OM Productions. So being a member, you get media in addition to having a marketplace for selling your book. The metaverse, all these good M's. So if you don't know what the metaverse is, it is a society inside of the computer where you get to sell your books. It's how we got to Maru from Japan, because he was able to come into a digital world instead of having to be in Chicago at the time. And so being a member, you got the metaverse under your belt. Then there's mentoring. See, that's the part right there where I can help you with industry tips. I can help you with actually getting the book idea out. That ends up being extremely important when you just don't know what to do. And then markdowns. You know, you become a member, you get discounts on our events and other opportunities. And so love it, love it, love it. I say become a member so that I can take that time with you and make that happen. I know I had people to support me when I came to the table. Let me bring myself back in here. When I came to the table, there was a sister I grew up with, and she was so enthused about my book and its title, Beating Black Kids, that she organized book discussions for me. She got me in a newspaper. I mean, so it's that type of thing. You want people who can help you do what you do, but do what you do better, because this is your first time, coming to the table. And so I'm so happy because one of the guests I have today, she's been in my life so long. She be laughing at me because I'll be like, what? How long we learned to? And she's like, you don't remember I was in your house? I was like, what? I don't know. But I'm bringing her to the table because I know she has a book up her sleeve and she's doing a lot to help us out here, particularly if you want a 501c3 organization, you want a nonprofit organization and you don't know how to do it. It's okay. Hold tight, because I'm going to bring her on the stage right now. Let me bring my girl, Bridget Scarborough. How are you, darling?
Hello. How are you doing, Asadah? Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
And I'm glad. And thank you for coming on, because I know sometimes with these shows, I think of people and I'm like, oh my God, I should ask them. But I'm glad I got you on, because it's been a long time coming and you deserve to be on here. So first and foremost.
How's my lighting? Should I turn the light on? The light is actually off.
Oh, baby, I think you look good, girl. You all right. If you want to turn it on, you can get up and turn it on later, but it's all good now. So first question is, tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you're doing currently. Like, what is the organization that kind of fits the foundation of the book? Tell them what you do.
Okay, so I am the founder of 501c3 My Org. Let me say that slower. 501c3 My Org. And it is a company, not an organization. A lot of people do think that I have a not-for-profit, but no, it's actually a company, a for-profit company. And we work with not-for-profits. And what we do is help them to start up, to start up. I have a startup package that helps them to take their idea, their charitable idea, from idea into inception. So I step them through the entire process and actually take some of the work off their hands by drafting certain documents for them, such as bylaws and their 3-year projections, which a lot of people have trouble with. That's one of the main things that people have trouble with, is budgeting. So I help them through that process by consulting them, but also doing a portion of the work for them. And one of the reasons why this idea came about is because I have an extensive background with working for not-for-profits and managing programs within not-for-profits environments. So I just have a lot of knowledge about the insides and outs of a not-for-profit. Things that people, if they have never worked for a not-for-profit or never run a not-for-profit, they don't really understand some nuances of it. And so I help them to understand that before they run into it in a troubled situation. And so that's pretty much what I do. I make sure that people have the knowledge they need when they come into the environment. A lot of people know that the only thing they know about a 501c3 is that I need it to get a grant, but it is a lot more involved than that. And so before you enter into it, you do want the knowledge. You want to know how to navigate it. You want to know what to expect so that you don't run into certain challenges that you can't overcome.
This is so important because a lot of people, like you said, they want that 501c3 so they can get a grant, but it's so much more. Now, without giving away all the book, can you talk about a little bit of what the So Much More is, or start talking about the book so they have an idea of what's to come?
Yeah, so the book is actually going to be a how-to book. How to start a not-for-profit, because sometimes people are not ready to go through the startup process with me. Maybe they don't have the funds to procure my services. So I really want something that they can just pick up, and read and follow the instructions. And I just want this is a way for me to reach the masses, and give them the information that they need without having to necessarily sit down with me, do a 101, become a member of 501c3. All of those, that's great, but not everyone's in a position to do that. So this can reach the masses quickly. And I really want to help. I mean, the book is going to be for everybody, but the large majority of my clientele are African-American women in the Gen X stage of life. And they're professional women. A lot of them actually have businesses or are doing something very significant with their career. So it's kind of like, okay, I'm busy, but I definitely have this charitable idea that I want to get off the ground, because maybe they have a passion, they've been through something that they have that led them to want to help other people through that same process. Or they, in their day-to-day career, they're not happy with the approach that the people that they work for, they're not necessarily happy with the approach that they're taking to solve a problem. So they have their own ideas that they really can't implement, in their workplace, and they want to try their own approach. So a lot of people have these charitable ideas, but they don't really have the time to really investigate what it takes to get it off the ground. So they need that assistance. So like I said, I help everybody, but I do tend to attract mostly African-American women, have an idea, they're busy with their careers, but they really want to do this other thing that they have a passion about. And so that, that tends to be the population that I attract the most.
And I'm gonna tell y'all, I respect this young lady so much because, you about the business, right? Because she even came into my metaverse and got an office in the metaverse but I think you also got a client from that experience in
Yes,
the
I
metaverse.
did. I sure did.
You did. And so how'd you help them?
So one of your authors, I think she doesn't mind me saying her name.
That's right, baby. Say it.
Sandra Washington. So she has she's a patient advocate, very knowledgeable woman. She actually has her own show that airs every Wednesday live on Facebook and on YouTube, where she interviews people, different healthcare professionals, and they share little known information about things that are not about healthcare issues that are not typically addressed in the media. And so, I mean, she's a powerful woman. She's an author herself, and she wanted to start a not-for-profit called Charms MediHelps Foundation. So I helped her get that off the ground, and I've been with her from the beginning with that. And after she got her 501c3, then she also procured my services to do some grant writing. So we've worked extensively together. Like, she's one of my success stories.
Wow.
I've been with her from the beginning, and now she's fully up and running. She's done conferences, put together conferences, not only presented at conferences, but she's, organized her own conferences.
Sure.
And so she's just doing some great things out there right now. And I just feel very privileged to have been a part of that process.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you about the book. In that, what made you say, like, and you kind of went through it because you said not everybody is ready for your help, but like to actually sit down and do the book and because you had a challenge or something.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Okay. So, so this is not my first time writing, but I haven't writing a book. I published a book in 2001, but it was a poetry book. It was not the same type of book as this. This is an informational book, a non-fictional book. So I have all of this content, and it's kind of the same way that the poetry book came about, because when I did the poetry book, I had all these poems, and I just basically compiled them into a book and published it. And so it's basically the same thing. I've been doing all of these trainings as part of my consulting, and I've recorded many of them. I also did a conference last year, Asadah, which you were part of it. You were my keynote speaker for the first the first day. And so I have all these videos of my trainings that I did for the conference. I have all these monthly trainings that I do with my clients. So I have all this content, and I just wanted to compile it into like a step-by-step book, and letting people, but for beginners, just letting people know, like, literally the technical part of how to actually start a not-for-profit and make sure that you have all your legal compliances together, and that you've done everything that you need to do legally. And then I also offer some tips, the same tips that I'm constantly offering my clients, and also things that I've learned, because I've learned a lot through my consulting. I've learned the mistakes that people make. When I first entered this, it was more for, okay, I want to make sure people know how to get started. But then as I began working with clients, I started to see all of the common mistakes that people make, because many people come to me that they have already done some things, and then we have to go back and correct some things, or they're already in trouble, which I hate when clients come to me already in trouble, and then we have to correct some things. So I've learned some common mistakes. So in the book, I want to address like some common mistakes so that you don't make those common mistakes, right? So I'm gonna give one example, like when you incorporate, there's certain language that needs to be in your incorporation documents that when you apply for your 501c3, you have to certify that language is in there. Well, most people, if they don't know, they've been incorporated and they haven't included that language, right? And so initially, I just took it for granted that people had that language in their incorporation documents. Now I don't do that because I noticed that most people do not have that language in their document. And so when you're applying for your 501c3 and you're saying, oh, I have this language in there, that actually is considered fraudulent because you don't have that language in there. And so a lot of people are answering questions. They really don't know what they're answering. They're saying yes to things that they don't really understand the question. So, so yeah, it's those type of things that I want to, it's like a lot of, if no one has ever told you, you wouldn't know.
Right.
And then, and a lot of people have even worked for not-for-profits, but if you're working for a not-for-profit in direct service, you don't necessarily know how the administrative part works and how the actual not-for-profit is functioning on an administrative level. So those are the kind of things that I like warn people about in the book. And then I have some value-based things that I try to that I want to share. Like, you know, I believe in having a minimalistic approach, so I try to talk a little bit about running your organization from a minimalist perspective. You know, less is more perspective, and that just comes from years of working for these huge not-for-profits and understanding that sometimes the bigger is not better. I am not an all-inclusive, we do everything type of person. I don't believe in that. That's why you hardly see me even in a big box store like Walmart or Target or Sam's Club. Like these, we do everything type of businesses, Amazon. I'm not going to say I don't patronize them, but it's very rarely. I try not to. So I don't think we do everything approach works for a not-for-profit. So I call it the big box approach. So when a not-for-profit claims they do everything, they usually do nothing very well. So I try to, kind of advise people against the big box approach and trying to solve every single problem and being very focused. So that's what I mean by like less is more. So I'll talk about that approach. And then I also kind of infuse the 7 habits of highly effective people and how you can use those principles for, running your not-for-profit. So it's a little bit of how to step by step, but also some advice and some guidance in how you can establish your value system and the principles around which you operate.
So let me ask the last question. What's the title of that book?
I do want to address the 14-day challenge too.
Oh, the 14-day challenge. Yeah, talk about that real quick.
Okay, just real quick. So I get these emails from this company called The Peaceful Prophet, and they have like some books writing services and stuff. I can never afford that, but I get their emails. And one day they said they had an advertisement. It was like for $14, you can purchase the 14-day challenge. And it was supposed to be like a guidance of how to do your book in 14 days. So every single day you get an assignment. Okay. And then if you complete each assignment every day for 14 days, your book should be complete. And I was like, okay, well, $14, I can afford that. I can do that. So I purchased it. And actually it worked. So I actually completed my book in 14 days, following everything that they said to do. So every day you get an assignment, and it's supposed to take no more than 2 hours of your time every day. And then once you complete that, you have all of the content. And I will say that it actually works. Wow. So my book right now is complete, but I just need it to be edited. I just need somebody else to look at it and edit it. And then I need a forward, which I'm gonna be hitting you up. We'll talk about that offline. But yeah, it just needs to be edited. I already kind of designed the cover, but I wouldn't mind a professional person coming in and doing a cover too, but just taking my idea and maybe, embellishing it a little bit or making it look, enhancing it. Cause I can do a little bit with design, but I'm not a designer. Yeah. But yeah, so that's where we're at with that. Okay. But the 14-day challenge by Peaceful Prophets, it did work, I will say. Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm not being paid to say that because I don't know Everybody at
I don't know them like that.
right.
Right. Well, I do want to thank you for coming on today, sharing that. What's the title going to be? Say the title.
How to start a not-for-profit 7 steps.
Beautiful.
So it's a 7-step book.
Beautiful. So y'all hear that, right? How to start a nonprofit, 7 steps. And so we'll be bringing her back when it is out. And so that because I know it's a lot of people out there that want nonprofits, but they don't know who to talk to, because that's like an area where you really need to trust people.
Yes.
And it's a big step. So I trust you. So y'all need to trust her. Thank you so much for being on today. And we'll have you back when it's out, baby. So that they can go to the website and purchase and all that good stuff. So we are going to go to a commercial break. But when we come back, you guys, we'll have more about those who have taken the journey and those that have yet to take the journey to bring out their book. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you, Bridge. Peace.
Thank you, Asadah, for having me.
You got it. Appreciate you.
And Anase went back to the village with the golden box. He set the golden box and gathered the children as you are gathered now. He opened that box and stories just rushed out of the box.
This is why we are here, because of these people right here. Give it up for the young people today, baby. Give it up better than that, adults. Tell us, adults.
Hi, I'm Lauren Cress Love. I'm the sister of the late Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, author of the ISIS Papers and the Cress Theory on Color Confrontation. We're Chicago natives, and to honor her legacy, I'll have her books at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, Saturday, July 16th, 2016. Be there.
Black Fairy is in this book. Young John Henry, everyone's familiar with the young John Henry, and Deadwood Dick, who's a black cowboy. So these are 3 plays that are in this book, which has been used by a lot of groups, universities that have produced plays for children.
Hey, Black Child by Usaini Perkins. Hey, Black Child, do you know who you are?
Hi, I'm Joyce Clark. I'm 92 years old, and I have written books for Black girls so that they know how important they are and they learn the mystery to their history. I'm going to be at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair, and I want to see you there.
Saturday, August 3rd, 2019.
The Female Solution Global Radio TV Show invites you to an invigorating, empowering, interactive conversation with our team of hosts Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. Start your week with Monday Morning Mindfulness with Zelda Speaks. Tuesdays, Gathering of the Griots with Asadah. Wednesdays, Repairing Family Relationships with Naima and co-host Kareem Hamid. Thursdays, Veggie Brunch Live with Angela. Fridays, Health and Well-Being with Beata. Saturdays, tune in 12 noon to 2 p.m. Central Time. First Saturday, Global Talks with Zana. Second Saturday,
Walk in Your Divine Authority with Mama Joy. Third Saturday, Move Around with Deborah. Fourth Saturday, be a judge on the virtual Teens, Tweens, and Tots Talent Contest. And fifth Saturday, join us on location as we conversate at the Elevate Cafe, owner Jackie Brooks. Sundays, join us 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time for Soul Purpose Healing with Beata. Go to thefemalesolution.com to join us on our video or audio live streaming platforms. Listen at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. Call in on the Blog Talk Radio Network 515-605-9325 or call in and comment on the On Air Radio Network 727-731-5192. We want to hear from you.
All right, guys. So we are back with Gathering of the Griots. That's what you're tuned into. You see that number at the bottom of the screen, 727. What is that? 731. Oh, I do it by memory, 5192. And today we're talking about, you got a book in you. Have you let it out yet? Because sometimes you need encouragement for that. You've been sitting on it for whatever the reasons. I know I've been sitting on some. And what? Let's bring it out. Because see, here's the thing, guys. Your book is really not about you, right? Even if it's about you, it's not about you. It's really about the people that are waiting for it, that are going to be inspired by it, right? Whether you mirror their life or whether the topic is something that they're experiencing, all of our books become inspiration on some level to someone. And so let's talk about that. I want to bring on the lady who makes much of this life possible. This female solution life, because she's an author herself. And I want to find out, like, what we doing? How you do all this stuff? I'm bringing on Naima Latif right now. Hey, Naima.
Hey.
How are you, my dear?
I'm fantastic.
Okay, that's awesome. Look, I got a little echo because I know why, so I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just.
You know what? I think it's me. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. Is that better?
We'll see. I think that's good. Yeah, I don't hear nothing. Okay, good. So you are an author. After I still hear echo, so I'm gonna handle that. So you are an author, and I know you. You know, the story of how we met is always just a blur to me. That's the whack part of Asadah. People be like, you don't remember how we met? I be like, what? All I know is that you were taking care of me early on. Like, you had an awareness of my book. You were making sure that I was in the loop and had me on your show. But aside from all of that, you yourself wrote a book. Now, the question is, for me, why? Why'd you write the book? Because you already have media outlets. And I'll ask the second question, which is going to be, what were some of your sort of challenges to doing so? So talk about the book. What book have you written, and how'd you do it with doing all this?
Well, the interesting thing was, of course, you know, once you write a book, then people start asking you to speak, and then you get to be guests on people's shows and things like that. So the first book I wrote was entitled Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. And that book was very widely, it's still in high demand. It talks about our ongoing emotional trauma, not just from the past, but the continuing experience of living in a society that rejects us and makes us feel like there's something wrong with us and does not reinforce our personhood. To be in that kind of environment from childhood, when your parents are beating you and thinking that's discipline, break your spirit. They destroy your self-esteem. And then you go out into a society that's telling you that you are less worthy of respect than everyone else. So it's destructive to your mind, your heart, your soul. And we talk about that, not just a way to complain about it or blame people for that, to help people understand you are responsible for healing yourself of this. You are responsible for reclaiming your own identity, your own greatness, your own connection to the divine that will heal your psyche. So we, of course, got a lot of offers and demands to come on various programs, and we ended up being a regular guest on a show out of St. Louis, a radio show. And after about a year of that, the host suggested that maybe I should have my own show. And so we started actually coming on regularly as a co-host to another sister's show. And then she finally said, actually, what happened before that? And being a regular guest in the process of being regular guests on various shows, I wrote another book entitled The Female Solution. And in that book, I dealt with the opportunity that women have to change things by changing the culture. We're the culture bringers. We're the ones who raise the children with a self-concept of who we are. We're the ones that define the roles of our sons and daughters. We're the ones that set the example by the kind of men we bring into our household. So the first book, Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma, I wrote with my husband. And the second book, The Female Solution, he wrote the foreword to that book. And, at the time as I was writing it, I was also writing a series of children's animal stories. And he said, you should include those animal stories in your book, The Female Solution, because I'm giving examples of how females of every species, handle familyhood and raising children and everything, and showing how they understand the role of being the life giver and the responsibility that comes with selecting a right mate so that your species survives. And so I thought about it and said, yeah, that makes sense. So I ended up putting it all together, and then another, highly sought after book that people were asking me to come on radio shows. And so that's when I began to be a regular guest on the station in St. Louis. And this is the Wasifa Tarver was her name. She recently got married, is now Wasifa Boggs, I believe. But she had me as a regular co-host on her show. And then she said, you need to really have your own show to talk about this. And we were thinking, what should we call it? And she said, The Female Solution. So that's how this show got launched. And it really came out of a book.
I'm about to say, how in the world you fit the book in there? But the book preceded the show. Got it. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
And I really had a drive to get this message about changing the world by changing the way we raise the children. And that's still the theme. If we change the way we raise the children, we will change the future, which means getting rid of all the self-destructive belief systems that we have about ourselves, which leads to our own self-esteem, which is really what we're projecting on our children when we beat them.
Sure.
It's our own self-hatred. Getting rid of any kind of limiting belief systems that make us believe we're any less than anybody else on the planet, any less capable, any less powerful, any less intelligent. We have to get rid of that thought, that belief, that core belief about ourselves that's keeping us in a subservient position because we think it's up to somebody else to free us, when in fact, nobody keeps you in bondage but yourself. So getting that message out.
See that. See that.
Getting that message out is the drive behind this show.
I see.
And I had been doing it for a couple of years, 5 days a week, and getting up.
I'm saying a couple of years. Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Well, we started back in 2012.
I'm about to say a couple means two, y'all.
So
talking about I've been doing it for a couple of years. No, she ain't. You gotta multiply that times 9. Like, what you talking about?
Well, I've been doing it by myself for a few years, maybe.
Yeah.
And getting up every morning, and I had very loyal listeners. They would, because it's every now and then when you run things, you don't have a boss telling you, okay, you got to be on time for work.
Sure.
You're the boss. If you have a slip up and oversleep, like,
right.
People calling me saying, aren't you going to be on today? So I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let them anticipate it.
But Naima, you've been doing this longer than you think, I believe, because I remember when I first got to Chicago, y'all, in 2014, she was doing it every day by herself. And then she started having guests that were sort of the hosts of
Yeah.
a show every day of the week. But I just like discovered the other day, it was some promo, I think. And or they talked about gathering at the Griots, but that was 2018.
Yeah.
So that means at least even with the guests, you've been doing this since 2018. So
Yeah. Well,
y'all
yeah,
don't get
that's
it
true.
twisted now.
Because
Yeah, this is
you're right. You're right. I'd have, doing guests and everything. And I had a couple of guests that they seemed to have, a depth of understanding. They could, talk for long periods of time. They carried the show. If I was tired, I just let them run with it,
right.
And
But that's what I'm saying. You had us as hosts since 2018.
Yes, until well, making it officially a whole team of hosts. I think it first started when I went, and I think it was 2016. I went overseas to visit my daughter because she was living in South Korea at the time, and I was trying to think, well, how am I going to keep my show going? And I'm out of the country, and so I asked a couple of the regular guests if they would host a show for me. Paid them some money to just handle it like a week. Each of them handle a week because I was going to be gone 2 weeks. And I was listening to the show at my daughter's house. Now, of course, the time difference, South Korea, it was 9 p.m. there, it was 7 a.m. here.
Okay.
But I'm listening to the show at night. I said, well, this is a really good show.
You said I'm on to something. I'm on to something
I like
here.
the variety. I like listen to it better when it's somebody.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's when I realized in order for it to expand, it needs to have more than just my mind.
I see.
Especially, I would come up with topics and say, oh, that's a good idea. And then I'd start talking and somebody would call in and say, yeah, I remember when you talked about that about 2 years ago. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm trying to repeat myself. Oh, okay, I'm running out of ideas.
So funny.
After a while, you think
know.
you've done everything, but you do start to run out of ideas. And so I realized it was time to expand, to get other minds involved. And I just went with my gut feeling about people. I could feel if somebody was on the same vibe. I could feel if they were somebody who had a vision and a mission and could carry a show like yourself. I just felt it. I didn't think real long about it. It's like, she would be a good show host. Took me all of 2 minutes to make that decision because I go by my instinct.
That's good. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah. So let me ask a question. Do you have any other books in you?
Oh, yes. Yes.
What you got?
This next one, I'm really excited about it because it's really coming from the spirit. It's entitled Spare the Rod, Love the Child.
Love it.
And it's a whole different way of preparing for when you're going to give birth.
Sure.
And then conception, and then step by step, all the way up to age 18, giving guidelines.
Okay.
Giving guidelines for parents and parents to be on raising children with love. And that means no beatings, no verbal abuse, no put downs, but literally only love, because that's really what comes from our creator. We are coming from a creative energy of the universe that is only based in love, not punishment, not judgment, not vengeance. And this is hard for, some real religious people to swallow. But the knowledge and the information that I've come across over the last 17 years, I understand that the reason why our world is messed up is because we keep passing the same trauma down to our children that was placed upon us. So we keep creating angry people because they've been abused, emotionally and physically abused from even before birth by the thoughts that we have when we conceive them. So I'm excited about it because it'll be also a foundation of a parenting class that will be online to really prepare people to change the future by changing the way we raise our children.
We going on tour.
Oh yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah. And every time I hear a conversation when people are defending corporal punishment, I realize that they don't know that what they're inflicting on that child is their own emotional damage. And all of the people who are championing that, they have some kind of issue and they don't know, they can't face it because it's so painful. Either a parent that abused or abandoned them, or something that there's a wound that has not healed inside of them.
Yeah.
And that's where that desire to hurt some younger person who is helpless, it's the ego saying, how dare you disrespect me?
Sure.
It's because they've been disrespected, not by the child, but by some other person that they couldn't stand up to and fight back.
Sure.
And that's where that comes from. But if the idea that you are not worthy of respect is not in you, then you will not respond that way to a child, when a child just being a child, when they say, no, I don't like it, I don't want the milk, I don't want it, I don't want my broccoli, no. And you want to beat them because you can't break their will and make them do what you want, because you perceive them expressing their own thoughts and their own free will as a challenge to your authority.
Sure, sure.
That's what it is. And you only have that because you've been damaged. Someone made you feel unworthy somewhere in your life, and you're still carrying that. And sometimes it's reinforced with a religious belief system that says, you're born in sin and shaped in iniquity. And I know I might be offending some people, but you know what? It's time to get offended. Because how many generations are we going to destroy with mistaken beliefs that have us coming into the world feeling worthless? You can't love someone else until you love yourself. And you can't love yourself if you're following a belief system that says you were born unworthy.
Uh-oh, wait, church. Congregation, wait. Pastor Latif is getting it in. Let me tell you something. Seriously, anytime she talks about this topic, she is beyond passionate, right? And that's how you want to do. Like, this show is about helping you see, let's get that book out. But this is part of what it takes. It takes this passion for the topic. I know some people who choose topics based on what they think is going to sell or whatever, but that's not really the game. People, when they feel your passion about the topic, your articulation of it comes out to the point where they feel like you are a resource for this particular thing. My book, Beating Black Kids, like I said, I don't remember the instance where Naima Latif was like, hi, what's up? Let's meet. But I know she was in my face about this topic and speaking on her show about the book. And that's what your book will do. It makes you an expert to others. When I was on CNN and they were introducing me, the guy was like, Asadah Kirkland, expert on joint. I was like, ooh, I'm an expert.
Okay.
So yeah, that was cool. But yeah, I want you all to see from those of us who have actually made taken a challenge and brought out a book. Not only did it take courage, but you just gotta really have the sort of the not the wisdom, it's wisdom. You need so many things to get it out, but don't be intimidated by that. Like, just let it come from your heart and the book will come out. But that's one of the first things that you need to make sure is live in effect, is your passion for that topic, because then you won't have a problem writing out the chapters, writing out the issues that you want to confront in the book and all of that. And we need you. Like, if we're going to sustain ourselves as a people, we're going to have to start addressing our own issues according to ourselves, period. And telling the story from our point of view. That's really what Gathering of the Griots is about. It's about, telling our stories according to ourselves for our benefit, you understand? So that we can carry ourselves to the next level. I don't care if that's children's books, fiction books, whatever they're going to be, just giving us a little bit more of an instruction on how to address an issue that plagues us, and definitely this topic that you're talking about, that's the jam right there, like that. We just need it, because I'm going to tell you, even with my book, Beating Black Kids, I wrote it because people would go, well, what should I do?
And they really don't know anything else.
Right. They go, what should I do?
And if you talk about talking to a child, it's like, I ain't reasoning with no 5-year-old. Well, why not? If they have the power of reason, why would you not talk to them and help enhance that intelligence?
But they don't see it.
They don't see it.
They ain't get what intelligence in a child. They so busy talking about what children can't do that they don't look at what they can do. But what I do in my workshops is we're not going to look at what you're doing. We're going to look at what was done to you, because that's when the memory comes back. What was done to them and what would have been better to do. And then you get a whole nother another support for what you do. And I'm gonna say something about you doing that book that's so important. And listen, guys, because your book idea also has an importance. You got to think out the box about how it's going to impact others. But one of the main reasons I get hired by these colleges and sociology organizations and social worker organizations is because they cannot find a Black person who doesn't believe in spanking. That's one of the main reasons why I get hired, because they're looking for somebody Black to speak on it. I've had professors say to me, my students won't listen to me. They tell me that these are white professors. My students look at me and say, you can't relate. You're not Black.
Wow.
Yeah, right. But when you bring in a Black person, now they can't play that game, because I'm looking at you like, now what we doing? Now what we gonna fix? And then, we go into it. But yeah, that's another, we need more of you so that we can join forces. I got an idea that I'm not going to say right now. Y'all can't have it, but I'm going to tell Naeem as soon as we finish, because it's almost here. But there are specific people that I know can run this line, and then we're going to do it. And so I'm glad that when do you see that book coming out?
I would love for it to come out next spring.
Okay.
Next April. That's my goal. I'm doing a bit at a time, and really reflecting on it. And I was thinking of maybe having my daughter as the person that I raised review it, because she will know authentically how truthful I'm being, because she's let me know I was not always this person. Who was 100% about peace. She let me know a couple of times I was kind of, pinched her a few times and I got frustrated. And so, I have to confess that I used to have a horrifying temper, but I know where it came from. I know it came from the anger of being beat. And, at the beginning of the book, The Female Solution, I described its experience from the point of view of a 4-year-old child, of getting beaten by a parent and not really understanding why, and being angry and having that seed of rage planted at that time. I was telling my own story.
Wow, look at that.
Because that was the point, that seed of rage was planted in me, and I had an explosive temper.
Yeah. Wow. Can't even imagine that.
Oh yeah.
Yo, you one of the nicest people I know in the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, my husband, he would tell people, we do have domestic violence, and this is the one that's the violent one.
Wow.
And he was like 6'4", and I was like, a little terror. Once I exploded, I just lost it and would get physically violent. So I had to work on that and understand where the roots of that came from.
Yeah.
And I had to understand that I can't let myself withhold anger and withhold it and not speak, because then it will explode and it will get out of control, and then I'll become a destructive person. So I understand anger. I understand when people do outrageous things like, go and get a weapon and shoot somebody. You have to understand that you have rage inside of you that you have repressed for too long, for too many years. And when something triggers it, you lose control of yourself and you do something damaging that you regret when you calm down, but it's too late. You've done the damage. So you got to really face what it is that is at the core of your rage. And 9 times out of 10, it's what happened in your childhood. And rather than us justifying it, I got spanked and I turned out okay. No, you didn't. You got some serious personality disorders that your friends who love you tolerate, but they're there. Your spouse may love you and tolerate it, but it's still there. My husband loved me. He loved me through my recovery from that kind of behavior.
Wow.
My daughter witnessed my transformation from being this out of control person when I got angry to learning how to handle my emotions and talk about things as opposed to terrorizing the household. So she can appreciate my point of view, knowing that I used to be that angry person because of the rage planted in me as a child. When you're punished in a way that is not only emotionally damaging, but physically damaging and spiritually damaging.
Can I say this? Can I say this? Can I say this, please? If you ain't finished that book yet, in your introduction, I would love to see, I understand anger. It's very strong when you just said that, because people assume that because we have this viewpoint that we don't understand the way that they might be, or blah, blah, blah. But to say that and then to talk about it, like I'm a vegan, but I used to love eating meat. And I tell people, oh, I used to be a carnivore, baby. I would buy the steak in the house. I would steal my brother's sausages when he went to the bathroom during breakfast. Like, it was ridiculous. But, you know, so I do tell that part so that they do understand, no, I do have a connection to what this is, or what I'm talking about. Because they need that point of reality. And I should say that point of reality, no question in it. But I want you guys watching to really see, this is what a book is made of. It's made up of you. In some way, it's your ability and your willingness to confront you where you wouldn't confront yourself before. That's what a book becomes. And because you are willing to confront now, now others become willing to confront. And that's why you got to do the book. It's not about you. It's not about, I don't know how. You can find out how. It's enough of us out here for you to do that. But the key is to just do it. And so, you know, I want to say, you know, Naima, thank you so much for coming on, sharing that, because I want people to understand that you could be doing a lot. I hear a lot of people say stuff like, I'm busy. I don't really care about your business.
Just do busy people, time, you know.
Busy people do things, right? They do things.
Yeah.
Busy people make it happen.
And you know, like you say, when you are able to confront yourself and be honest, people will listen to you when you don't act like, oh, I'm perfect, I never made any mistakes. Because they don't really, they feel like you can't relate. But when you can say, I've been where you are, I understand. And I've learned through my errors. I mean, and I understand my parents, they did the best they knew how. And I know that what they went through in the era they lived in, it was much worse because it was run but a couple of generations out of slavery.
Sure.
So I can see why that professor would have a hard time finding somebody who's Black, because that's so deeply ingrained in our culture. It's hard to dig that out. And people will swear by it because they don't know any other way to shape a child. They have not seen it demonstrated. And that's why I want to teach through this book.
That's awesome, yo. Everybody stop playing games. Get your book out. And those of us that have books out already, who have taken the challenge of addressing an issue, that's really what it's about to me. It's not about support the authors. No, get some clarity on these different topics based on who wrote them and what's their background and how did they get to this point and all of that. And so I do want to say thank you for coming on, Naima, and sharing, you know, that's right, share what you are doing with the book, having them out already. And say the titles one more time?
Spare the rod, love the child. And of course, we know that biblical verse often quoted, spare the rod, spoil the child, which is mistakenly believed to mean you got to beat your child in order to get them to obey.
Sure.
That's to counteract that. So
turn that around.
My daughter actually came up with the name of the book, so I'm excited.
Oh, who came up with it?
My daughter.
Yeah, I love it.
She came up, Zacchaeus. She's such
our
a
kids, boy.
Spirit, you know.
Yeah, our children, they be representing, girl. They get us there. So sometimes your stories come from that experience, guys. Your children help you get it out and see how to deliver it based on your own experiences. So we're going to take a commercial break, but when we come back, we have another sister that's coming to the table. She was like, Asadah, I don't even have a book. I was like, I don't care. I know her story. So she wants to make it, and all she needs is those of us who know how to do it to encourage her to make it go right. She'll be in this team I keep saying that's going on tour. We're going to talk about that. But anyway, We'll be back after these messages, guys. Stay tuned. You're watching Gathering of the Griots, and be ready to call. Don't wait to the last minute. 727-731-5192. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The heart of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair comes the Soulful Book Fair Foundation. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation provides programming, training, and literary opportunities for Black-themed writers and their readers, while increasing exposure and access to culturally relevant literature in Black communities. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation is built on 4 pillars. Enhance the Black literary marketplace, bolster training and marketing for Black writers, archive Black stories and literary experiences, and foster writing and telling of stories through Black youth. Our signature book fairs have showcased over 350 authors. Still, there are not enough opportunities for Black writers to promote their work. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation helps to enhance the Black literary marketplace and provide avenues for authors to gain exposure and sell their books. Everyone has a story to tell. For those people courageous enough to become authors, we help guide them through the process of building a business around their books. From effectively presenting at events, to maximizing social media,
learning what Snapchat is, learning what Instagram is, how to use it, how to market to it. So I think that is what made me, I didn't sell out. I think I brought about 80 books and I sold like 68. So I think that was really, really good.
we offer training and marketing to help Black authors so they can confidently develop fruitful literary careers. Understanding the past allows one to map out the future. We preserve the stories behind the storytelling of activists, writers, leaders, and youth in the Black community through state-of-the-art videography, produced by the media partner of the Soulful Book Fair Foundation, OM Productions International. We transform history into our story.
I purchased my first property at 19 years old, and I have done more than 20 deals since then. I can teach you too. Come visit me at the Soulful Chicago Book Fair.
Myth. Children today do not read and write as much as we did in the past. Children today actually read and write more than we used to, because they post and text as their primary form of communication. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation creates opportunities for young people to share their stories through special workshops.
So in African tradition, when you have special programs like this, you usually or always begin it with a libation before our Sheba did not BC. He was recruiting enslaved Africans for 5 years in Charleston, South Carolina, to take over that city.
Hey, Black child, be what you can be. Learn what you must learn. Do what you can do. And tomorrow, your nation will be where you want it to be.
Speaking the truth, but you call me a radical. You don't want to hear it? Send yourself on a sabbatical. Look at your history. Our labor here was never contractual.
The Tenure D Black Essay Contest provides opportunities for young people from grades 4 through 12 to win prizes for sharing their family histories.
My great-grandmother was born July 27th of 1934 in Mississippi. She moved to Chicago in her early 20s because there was much more broad racism in the southern regions of the U.S.
The Tenure D Black Essay Contest validates their young thoughts and creates a platform for their ideas to be taken seriously. We believe that our children would read more if what they read reflected more of who they are. Why not help them be the authors of their own experience?
Well, I started writing things in my journal, and then I started taking writing classes, and I realized I can put the things that go on in my life into my books, so I can put them in my journal, and I put them into my book.
On these 4 pillars, enhancing the Black literary marketplace, bolstering training and marketing for Black writers, archiving Black stories and literary experiences, and fostering writing and the telling of stories through Black youth. The Soulful Book Fair Foundation is building a literary movement for the ages that is amplifying the voices of Black authors, poets, and even composers, and creating opportunities for them to share their unique perspectives with millions of literary fans across the city and across the world.
Hi, I'm Naima Latif, and if you're watching this, that means you're one of the 4.6 billion people from around the world who are using an electronic device to talk to people. In these times, people are using the internet to talk to everybody. Friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers. People are on their cell phones and computers all day long. Now, if you're in business, that is great news. That means you can sell your products and services all day long and never have to leave your home. All you need is a media connection, somebody to connect you to an audience. And that's why I'm talking to you today. We produce programs, and our audience members are people who shop. They buy clothes, food, beauty supplies, cleaning supplies, home repair, transportation services, childcare services. Whatever you're selling, they need to buy it. We're your media connection. Just follow this link, and tomorrow you can sit back and relax at home while your business is making you money.
Period, point blank. Hold on. Let me switch it. Let me do a switcheroonie. All right. So we are going to, like I said, bring on a sister in a few minutes that her story is just like, what? What? I'm like, how does little baby girl do this? Look, she's a mama. And she's for real, for real. I'll show you this, her whole energy. I do want to say for those of you watching this or listening to this, that, your book, man, I know it's like, man, I got to do it, but just do it. Like, stop thinking about doing it and just do it, because here's what it is. It's like your book is part of your legacy to the world. It lives well beyond you. We read books by people that are no longer on this planet, but they are still making an impact because they wrote it. And when you write a book, it really is a demonstration to me that you thought about others, because you knew that that was the main reason for doing it, right? I'm that type of person. That's just what I'm gonna do. I love doing things for others. I do things for others before I do them for myself. And sometimes, I need to work on that. But the main thing is that the book, though, for me to have people tell me that my marriage is different because of your book, like the way that they raise their children has enhanced because of my book. For me to get stopped by the UPS man in front of my building, he up in the truck, he goes, "Excuse me, you that sister that wrote Beating Black Kids?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he talking about, "I'm a better father because of you," because I gave him my book at some point. And he said he was about to have a child at that time that I gave it to him, but he read it and so was able to modify the behavior he had before he had the child. And so you don't know all the ways that your book is going to assist others. Use that as your fuel for making it happen, because like I said, your book is not about you. It's about the people that are influenced by what you do, right? The people that I know that have books, they're just almost always, and I know some people that be like, I got 11 books. This one brother told me I got 80 books. I was like that. Okay, that's okay. You know, I'm not telling you not to do that, but I'm just telling you, give it the quality that it needs so that people can really benefit from what you have to say about your book. I have a sister, and the sister I'm gonna bring on, I think her story might be similar, but I want to show just something that comes from an author that's in my circle. And it took her courage to come out with this book, but I'm gonna play it. If you can relate, you can call in. Y'all can call in 727-731-5192. Check this out. It's a little bit about what we were talking about, the enemy within. Take a look.
You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of
In my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name.
See? So her book, The Enemy Within, is dealing with, she's like, I know there's abuse, like hitting, but there's emotional abuse too. And that stuff, see, that's that stuff that you start believing other people and what they say about you, even though it's not true, but they'll make you feel less than. And you have to have something that combats that. And so sometimes it is writing a book, because the book is sort of like, what do they call that? Therapeutic. It allows you to get the word out, get the story told from your point of view, because that ends up being very important, that your point of view, your side of the story got told. Because I'm gonna tell you, even with like my book, Beating Black Kids, it's a lot of people's stories in there. I interviewed people, and in the book, you hear the lens of other people on the topic, whether they felt that they beat their children and it made them angrier people. There's so many things in there, and there's so many different people with different lifestyles. It's a hairdresser in there, it's a maintenance man in there, it's a teacher in there. So, you know, let's get it. You know, the work that you do can reflect other people in your work. It doesn't just have to be you. There's other people that want to sing your song or have a sentiment that's similar. They could be a part of your book project. And so, you know, I just feel like doing it is important. And so the sister that I'm about to bring on, she should be in another few minutes, but I just want to show you her, because when you see how she rolled, I'm like, wait a minute, what? Look at this real quick. First of all, look at all these babies. Look. Oh, those are all her children, baby. What? Yes, indeed. Teenagers, little babies. Look at the stair step, right? So what we got there? 3, 6. She got 8 beautiful children. At that point, it's a tribe. She has a beautiful tribe. And I don't even know if I met the little one. I think I'm familiar with the second to small. But this sister's going to come on, and she has a book. Now I'm going to tell you, and look at her here. Look. Oh, that's my girl, Ashley. Okay. Look, some of our kids bigger than her. That's what we talk about. I know mine is bigger than me, but Ashley is a wonderful sister who not only believes in my message of my book, but she believes in like providing resources for families that need it. She has a company called Inspire Families. And so the work I see her do is crazy. She actually had an event. She flew me out to Virginia. She had me speak at an event that she did for parents. She had, it was amazing. Because of her, I got my book put into a store there in Virginia. And like, she's really passionate about the topic. And so I'm like, what? Girl, helping you get your book out is fabulous to me. And so when she comes on, I want you to, you'll get a sense to see her. She's such a small little mild-mannered sister. But that topic of that book, you're going to see how she overcame and how she is where she is today, how she made the organization that she made. And, like I said, this show is really about do it. You could do it. You could get that book out of you. Now, get rid of the fear and get it out of you. Make it so that other people not only can read it, but like I said, be inspired by you because of it. And so we're going to just take a break while I go and get this lovely soul. I also got some people coming to the table. They still putting their ideas up there. Let me just read this to you real quick, because this is just important. People are out there with these books. They're not out yet. And everybody's not scared, though. Let me just say that. But they just need another venue. They need somebody to tell them, yo, come help me out, or come bring it out. So my girl Lotus says that she has a book. Yes, she said, but I'm writing it now, and I've been teaching others free how to do the same thing. Book downloading soon to be to the masses. So good. She's doing it. I'm glad I asked that question, because it's forcing people to just look at the fact that they do have these books that need to come out. And so while we wait for Ashley, let's just take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hey, everybody. This is Asadah, the founder of the Soulful Chicago Book Fair. We're in our 8th year. Can you believe that? And have even gone as far as the metaverse with this book fair. But I'm an author, so I knew that I needed to do something to bring life to writers, because we don't really get a good road. Dancing does, fine art does, but somebody needed to put the authors on stage. So I chose to do it. If you see, look, my man L. Ron Hubbard, I'm a Scientologist. He said, look, Al, he said, if you see a problem, look at what you didn't do and know why it's a problem. And so my thing was, hey, we need more events for writers. I need to increase the literary marketplace. So I do the book fair. And here I am. And this is our Soulful Chicago Spring Fling Book Fair. And I'm having a good old time. I done danced, I done ran, I done sold books, and ate some food. So stay in tune so you can be at everything we do. Peace.
I lost my phone.
No, you stay there. I need you to move 61st and Champlain.
Hey, now.
I'm talking about that brain food. That
of our people, you ask the elders for their permission to speak. We're not talking about the energy with somebody telling you what to do. We're talking about a reverence for elders. And so before we open up this event, this is how we ask for permission to begin the event, to make sure it's in order and there's approval that we're doing the right thing. And so I ask our elders, do we have permission to begin this event?
You have our permission.
Ashe.
Women, right and rain.
I love it. So without further ado, this, first of all, when y'all see her come on, right? I just showed you her beautiful kids. I just showed you her beautiful 8 children. When she comes on, do not say, is that one of her children? Because she looks so young. It just don't make no sense. How this little beautiful girl made 8 beautiful children. But anyway, let me bring her on. My girl, Ashley Angulo. What's up, beautiful?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Girl, I'm loving seeing you, girl. Let me pull this. Let me just pull my girl Naima off the screen so it's just us. Yay! Girl, how is it there in Virginia right now?
It's hot. It is hot and humid, and kids are in and out of the pool, and I'm loving it.
I love it. That's so good. So now, Ashley, me and Ashley talked about doing a show together because for real, she's so supportive of my book and its topic. But she's acting on it. And so we just got to figure that out. We'll figure that out. But let me get to the point right on it, honey, because I don't want a minute to lose. I know you said you have a book up your sleeve.
I do. I have a couple, actually.
Talk about it, baby. What's your book? Yeah, what's your first book that you want to focus on?
So as you know, with running Inspire Family Empowerment, which is my nonprofit, check us out because we have support groups for people who are dealing with CPS, who are dealing with foster care, learning to parent through trauma. That's really my passion. I want to be able to tell my story because I don't think my story is unique. I think the only part that's unique is that I refuse to sit in shame. And so the fact that we had an experience that really shaped my kids' lives and shaped my lives in terms of being impacted by the system in a way that really highlighted all of the flaws. Everyone who works in the system isn't bad. They're not all out to get families. I know that's a narrative that we hear a lot, but that's not the case. With the system overall, it's rooted in colonialism and white supremacy, and it was not designed to support, especially our families. That's just not what it's there for. And so we're trying to take something that was built on something ugly and we're trying to turn it into something that supports families. And it's just not working because it's not giving us and our families what we need. And so my story of overcoming a system that was designed to tear my family down, that kept giving me these mountains to climb and these hurdles to overcome, is something that I feel like it resonates with a lot of people. And I'm seeing that in my work because as I work doing parent advocacy, my day job, the one that pays my bills, is foster care reunification. And even working in that capacity where I'm limited in what I can say and do because I get told all the time, well, you can't advocate for the parents, you're just there to be neutral. But wrong is wrong and right is right. And that's just how I am. If I see something and it's not right, it's not in me to say, well, I'm just gonna look the other way or to give people fake platitudes. If you're being mistreated, I'm gonna tell you, listen, you didn't hear it from me, but you need to do steps A, B, and C. So that's why at heart, at my core, I'm an advocate. I'm not a neutral party. I'm a person for people. And I want other people to look and say, well, damn, she had 3 kids and she had 4 kids and she had 5 kids. Now I got 10 kids, because I have my 2 goddaughters that I'm helping raise. And no, it's not easy, but it's doable. It's about being resourceful and building that resilience. And so that's a story that I want to share with people. I want other moms to look at what happened with me and realize that everyone is not bad. There are good people out there. If you're looking for good people, you will find them. They're there. The universe or whatever higher power you believe in. I believe in God. I know not everyone does, but whatever it is that brings you, peace, and it's out there. What you put out is what you're going to get back. And so if you're putting out resourcefulness and resilience and I can do this, this is hard, but it's worth it for my kids. I always tell my clients, whatever the harder thing is to do is probably the right thing. If it's easy, that's probably not the right thing to do. You should do the other thing, the hard thing. And if you keep that in mind, you're not going to go wrong. And I want people to see that and realize that there shouldn't be a stigma. Literally millions of people are affected by foster care. Millions of people are in relationships with their families of origin that are not healthy, that are abusive or toxic, that don't serve them well or don't serve their kids well. And people don't talk about it because they're embarrassed or they're ashamed, and that should not be the case. And so somebody has to step up first and be like, yes, I experienced this and we overcame it and we're better for it and we're stronger and you can heal. So that's book number 1, is I want to tell my story.
Okay, wait. No, you don't get to go to book number 2 yet. Because already you strong, like you are already, it's like, she kicking it right now. She gonna say, how's she gonna say this is all based, it starts with colonialism. Now that's a real person right there, because she's going to the root. But you don't get to go to the second book yet. You keep saying what happened to us. Now we know we want to read the book. We know we want to get, but what happened? What made you this person that created an organization to fight for families who is gonna do a book? What happened?
So the Cliff Notes version is that I went through a very long and extensive custody battle with my own parents. And it started when I had my first baby. Because I was young. I was 19. I was married very young. It was an abusive marriage. I left. And like many young people do, I went back and forth between an abusive man and an abusive home, an abusive man, abusive home. And I kind of ping-ponged back and forth for a while before I realized this isn't good for my son. This is not good for me. I need to step out on my own. He was about 1.5 years old. And I said, I need to step out on my own and make my own way for him. And so in doing that, without disparaging anybody, the toxicity of my family of origin really, it came to the forefront. It was all about control. When you're parenting kids, they're their own people. They're individuals. They have their own journey that they're on. It's not our place to try to control their journey. We can't do that because ultimately it's their journey. All you're doing is slowing it down. You're slowing the process down. They have to experience what they need to experience. And so it was a lot of control, and they used CPS as a weapon. And they would call and they would make allegations. And unfortunately for me, I am outspoken. I say what I think. And I was like that more so when I was younger. And so I was just, well, you can't do that, and it didn't serve me well. And I tell my clients now, there's a way to talk to people. You can't be confrontational. It does not serve you well. And you're going to put a bad taste in people's mouths. And so I had to learn how to advocate for myself while also knowing when to step back and kind of play the chess game and not the checkers game. And so that's a skill that I learned over time. But unfortunately, because my mom did call CPS a lot when my kids were younger, and my dad worked.
What's CPS in your world? What's CPS in your
Child Protective Services?
See, for us, it's Chicago Public Schools.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. Some people call it DFAX. Some people call it DFPS. Different things in different places. But ultimately, she was able to finagle a situation. She was able to manipulate a situation where I was stuck in a place where I either had to sign my kids over to her or risk trying to battle it out with them in foster care. And of course, at the time, I thought, she said, well, sign the kids over to me. They'll be here for the summer. You'll get back on your feet. It's just a financial situation. You'll pick the kids up at the end of the summer. Lots of kids spend the summer with their grandparents. It's fine. I had never been away from my kids ever. And so I was, I didn't want to do it, but I felt like it was the best thing to do. And I mean, as soon as I signed on the dotted line, everything changed. And I had to fight for the whole thing. It was like 7 years from start to finish. They weren't gone for 7 years. They were only gone for a little less than a year, but the amount of times that they brought me back to court, and the trickle down effect of once a case has been opened on you, even if it's not founded, it was never founded. But even if it was never founded, but in
Wow.
the child protective system, in the criminal system, you're innocent until proven guilty.
Mm.
In the child welfare system, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Whoa. See? Whoa.
Right. So the burden was on me to prove that the things that other people were saying about me were untrue. But how do you prove something that doesn't exist?
Mm. Mm.
So it was an uphill battle. It was very discouraging. I mean, my mom she would call us at 3:00 in the morning and say, well, you should be institutionalized. You should be dead. You should be in jail. Who does that? Why would you, that's spiritual warfare is what it is. That is
Yes.
spiritual warfare.
Yes.
And I'm proud that we came through that somewhat intact. We're still standing, and I think my kids have developed empathy and compassion because they've seen what else is out there. I don't wish that trauma on them, but I think that it's given them character and depth that a lot of young people their age don't have.
Wow. Wow. Look at this book, y'all. Are you serious right now? And this her first book. So it's real. The book is not even just about abuse. Because you got that and people have that. But your book is about that fight through the court system and your resilience and family connection. Oh, your book is getting ready to be boss, beast mode, and so helpful to so many people. Now, okay, now I'll let you go on to the second book. Go ahead.
Okay, so my second book, and it's always, it's harder to talk about yourself, at least this for me. It's harder to talk about yourself. So I feel like with the first book, it's a story that's still being written because I'm still on the journey. But the second book, I want to create like a guide for parents who are parenting through trauma. When my kids came home to me the very first time, they were still really little. But as I said, my mom kept filing in court. She would go back to court constantly and request custody, and she would make things up. And so they would come and they would take the kids with no warning. They'd be gone for 6 or 7 weeks, and we'd get to another court date, and the judge would say, well, this doesn't look like this isn't what was presented. Let's go ahead and send the kids back home. And there was a lot of back and forth. And so that is traumatic for a parent. It's secondary trauma for the parent because now you're parenting traumatized kids. And what I discovered as I was trying to help my kids came home, and, I want to protect their privacy, so I won't give specifics, but they had a lot of behaviors that we see in adopted kids. Reactive attachment disorder. We don't talk about reactive attachment disorder because only adoptive parents get told about it. When adoptive parents when they get children and they're getting that therapeutic stipend money for foster care, yes, there's a rating system.
Wow.
And based on how the child scores, based on their behaviors and their needs, the stipend increases, as it should, because these kids have high needs. You can't hold a job and parent a child who is smearing poop and is sexually reactive and needs cameras and locks on the door. You can't. That's your whole job. But we're placing these same kids, when they reunify with their parents, resending them back home to poverty. And we're telling these parents who are impoverished and traumatized, you need to do just as well as these adoptive parents who have all of the money and are starting from a baseline of stability and resources. That's not fair. That's not the right answer. And then when the kids get removed, we say, well, the parents failed. No, they didn't. The system failed. The system failed the parents who were not able to provide the resources their kids needed. And so I want to write a book that guides trauma parents in parenting their traumatized children. It is a whole different ballgame to regulate a child emotionally when you can't regulate yourself.
Ooh, you cold. Wait a minute.
It's so different.
I need a moment of silence, bear. Or y'all be quiet. Oh, wait. You are cold, sister. Keep going, girl. What? When you can't regulate yourself. Go ahead, girl. Continue.
When I was escaping domestic violence, and this is when this book and the idea for the support group and things came to my mind. I did so much research when my kids came home, and this is how I found out about TBRI training. This is when I learned about not hitting my children, because I was spanking like everybody else. That's what you did. You popped your kids. and it didn't really feel right to me, but it was the only parenting guide that I had. And so I went with it. And as I started researching trauma parenting, I joined foster parent groups on Facebook and adoptive parent groups. And I was quiet because I didn't want them to find out who I was. And I sat back and I read and I learned, and I found out that these people they were being given skills and classes and trainings that nobody offered to me. And so I very quietly went about finding those resources for myself. And I started trying to change my parenting just on my own. I didn't have anyone modeling it. I didn't have any mentor. All I had was books and Facebook groups and message boards. I didn't know anybody in real life who didn't hit their kids. And I didn't know how to do it. I was just like, well, this seems wrong. I should do something different. But I was leaving domestic violence. I had 6 babies. I was pregnant with the 7th. I had 2 dogs and a cat. And we were driving this van that was overheating. And every time that I knew it had a bad head gasket, but I had to get from Georgia to Virginia because that's where the shelter was. And I got in the car and I had my little gallons of water and I would pray, and the needle would go up, it would get hot, and I would pray harder and the needle would go back down. Then we get a little further down the road, needle would get hot. I would pray harder, please, Lord, I just got to get there. Please keep me safe. Needle would go back down. And at one point I had to pull over on the side of the road. And my most challenging child at the time, who shall not be named, was doing what they did. And I was trying to pour water into the engine, and I had to let it cool down. I was pouring water in, and this child kept getting out of the car. And we're on the side of a highway, and I'm by myself, and I'm pregnant. And then the child let a dog out, and the dog was on a leash, and my oldest child was trying to grab the dog's leash, and the other child, and I started screaming at my problematic child, screaming, "Get in the car! I don't know what's wrong with you. You see we're on a highway." And I watched her face crumble. And I snatched her up and I threw her back in the car and I slammed the door shut. And that's not the only time I've lost my temper with my kids at all. But in that moment, in my head, my brain was telling me, you need to calm down. She's scared. This is a new transition for her. This is too much for her. And I was like, it's too much for me. What am I supposed to do? Where is the help? How am I supposed to stay calm when I have to do everything by myself? When if she doesn't stay in the car, she's going to get run over. She's going to get killed. Okay, is it better for me to hit her so she doesn't run out into the street? Like, is that the better option? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that question. Okay, but what I do know is when I got into therapy and I was relating that story to the therapist, who did not last, by the way, she said, well, have you considered doing more self-care? Maybe you could get your nanny or babysitter to increase their hours. Lady, I'm in a domestic violence shelter. I don't know who you think you're talking to, but it's not me.
Clearly. Maybe you could get your nanny. Girl, stop it. Girl.
And so these resources weren't designed for people of color. Not that we're all poor, but they weren't designed for us. They were not designed for our reality. You have to get to work or you're going to get evicted. You don't have time to negotiate with your child for 45 minutes about their color of their shoes. That doesn't mean that you force them to do something physically, but it may mean you need a different plan of action to respectfully parent your child in that moment where you don't have the resources of a stay-at-home mom. People need that guidance.
Yes.
It's not easy out here.
Wow. You are about to soar. You hear me? With that right there, because I'm gonna tell you something. Like I said this a little earlier in today's show with another guest, and I was saying that you become an expert to the world when you write a book. For real, they start dealing with you like you're an expert. And so you, with this story right here and your book, so what's going to happen? It's going to be very similar to like what you did with me. They're going to be flying you out to speak at women's groups, social work organization event, symposiums. Like, it's about to be a thing. And the reason why the book is important to complete is because it's the way that they're going to be able to hold on to you. Like, you're going to fly home and be with your children, but your book is going to allow them to hear you over and over and over again, and then be happy they met you, and then be inspired by you. That's why this stuff, when these books come through us, they're not really coming through you just because you want to be a writer. God is sending those bad boys to you. He's sending those ideas to you to say, now it's time to do it. So you went through everything you went through so that this can occur,
For a purpose.
For a purpose, for people.
Absolutely.
Now tell them a little bit about, we only got about maybe 5 more minutes left, but can you tell everybody what you've done so far with Inspire Families?
Yes. So this started because people kept sending me other people, and they'd be like, well, Ashley got her kids back, call her and see what she did. There's no magic solution. I hate to tell y'all that. And the court system is still insane, but this is what you can do. And so after a while, my husband was like, well, you need to make a nonprofit or something, because these people are just calling you and you're on the phone all the time. So I was like, okay. So I created Inspire Family Empowerment, and I want to inspire people. We have a bio parent support group. So that's for families of origin who have lost their kids to foster care or have recently reunified. And we just offer support and coaching and just a safe place where we can talk about the struggles without, there's no social workers there. There's no one who's going to run back and tell the court, well, this parent is struggling with this, or even this parent had a relapse, or whatever the case may be. So that's a really big part of what we do. We have an advocacy program where a parent advocate is matched with a parent who is going through the foster care system. And we basically, it's not we're not legal advocates, but we teach parents about their rights, and we teach them how to navigate the system in a way that will best meet their end goal. So sometimes you have rights, but it's not the right time to say that you have rights. Sometimes you have to kind of hold your cards for a minute, let some things play out. And then sometimes there are things that are unacceptable, and there are routes you can take to, to blow the whistle and let, someone higher up know. So we attend court, we can supervise visits, we can write summaries, a summary of what the parent has done, the progress that they've made while they're working with us. And since parents seek us out, it shows an extra level of initiative on the part of that parent, and courts love that. So that is very helpful. We're still working on our peer mentorship program, but we have some amazing, amazing peer mentors who have just overturned their termination of parental rights, which is huge, huge, huge victory, and are getting ready to join us as peer mentors, which is very similar to advocacy, but it's just a mentorship role. It's just a parent who's been through it and can just be a shoulder to cry on and a support system for a parent as they go through that process. We have a parenting class called MRT, Moral Recognition Therapy. It's all about accountability, because again, we cannot change our children if we can't change ourselves. And our kids are a reflection of the environment that we create and the energy that we give out. And I mean, I have to tell myself that all the time. So this is not me as a parenting expert, it's me as a mom. But we have someone who is trained in this particular modality. It's therapeutic. It's a 12-week program. It's recognized by the courts. And we strive to make it helpful and useful, and not just something to check a box and say that you did it. So you're walking away with something you can actually use. We have a transitional housing program. We are looking for a new building. So our prayer is that we find one soon so that we can expand and help more moms and more families. And we have an up and coming homeschool and alternative education program. So we're partnering with the Boys and Girls Club to have a homeschool community center. There are a lot of teenagers out there, especially Black teenagers. The school system is the school to prison pipeline. They are not here for our children, especially our sons. And they need to have another place that they can go. And if you're working, you want to know that your kids are safe during the day. So middle and high schoolers can come and drop into our center anytime from 9 to 2, Monday through Wednesday. We have tutors on site. We have educational activities. It's a safe place for them to come and learn and engage and kind of get the best of both worlds. So that's what we have going right now.
Look, she talking like she just said we go to the store. The girl then gave a corporate description of this whole thing. Is there a place people can donate to you? Is there a website they can go to, or how can they donate to you?
Yes, Inspire Family Empowerment on Facebook, as we have all of our donation links are there, as well as our website, inspirefamilyempowerment.com. And we also, our Cash App is Inspire Families 757.
So inspirefamilyempowerment.com.
Yes, and
Okay.
Inspire Family Facebook/Inspire Families 757.
I'm gonna put I'm gonna put this up here for y'all to see. I do want to say thank you so much for coming on. It don't make no sense how much I'm gonna have you back. It don't make no sense how much we're gonna get our own show, because you allow me to sit back and just relax and enjoy everything. But this is the end of our show. You guys will be back next Tuesday. Thank you, Ashley. You the bomb.
Thank you for having me.
Y'all take down that website, inspirefamilyempowerment.com, and join us again. We'll be looking for her book, and it's about to be bigger than before. Have a great day, guys, and peace. Peace, Ashley. All right, y'all. It's good, and I love you. See you next Tuesday.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
So there are so many things that is yet to transpire within the next 5 years, but yet the focus remains inward. You are trying to be something you already are. And that in that moment clicked for me, and I realized, why am I trying to be something I already am? Can you trust the unfolding of life? Can you trust in it? If you thought awakening and surrendering was a choice, it is no longer a choice.
The more I tried to hold on, the more it slipped away. Only when I decided to let go completely.
Your journey, whether it's spiritual or not, whatever it is for you, your journey on this planet Earth, the path that you're walking, is designed to bring you back to your authenticity. Sometimes you're going to have to play a role until it gets to the end of that role. And that was when Jesus sort of visited me in an encounter. And what he showed me in that moment was him walking through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights.
I'd like to welcome to the show Rihanna Aarons. How you doing, Rihanna?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. I do appreciate it. I know you're calling from South Africa today, so that's
Yes.
I think you're either in tomorrow. I don't know what your time zone is there. You might be tomorrow, so you might be in the future. I think you definitely are in the future. Calling me from the future.
I am. I think I'm 7 hours ahead of you.
Okay, so let us know how things are going. Okay.
I will. I will.
So Rihanna, you